there's this common narrative that conservatives like to push that whenever something occurs that they don't like, or they see some kind of pattern that they don't like, they think it's some big conspiracy, some part of some global agenda kind of nonsense. I think it's perfectly fine to be able to acknowledge that there are things both in real life and in fiction and just everywhere that you might not like, and that's fine, but that doesn't mean it's all part of some grand conspiracy or anything like that. Yet many of these people will push this conspiracy that all DEI programs, all of these different things are part of this conspiracy to take down the West, as it were. Hey everyone, my name's Christian Verstappen, and I have a lot to say about many things. Recently, the YouTuber Asmongold reacted to a video called Why Japanese Games Go Woke. It was originally by Censored Gaming, and the entire premise of this video is effectively that because of localization that Japanese companies do when making a video game, they tend to tone down certain aspects, or they tend to, change certain things. And don't get me wrong, not all localization is necessarily good or makes sense. And I don't think it's good to necessarily like remove, another culture's culture from media when it's being adapted or anything like that. A famous example of this is in the original Pokemon anime when they called, I think they're called rice balls. Yeah, they called rice balls donuts, and that if you guys have ever seen a rice ball, not not exactly a donut now, is that? No. However, the common narrative, of course, is that the Japanese developers are doing this kind of thing to kind of placate Western audiences. And one of the reasons that I mentioned that Western audiences specifically is that Censored Gaming has this video about how Japanese games are being made with global standards in mind, as if that's a bad thing. Localization, again, like that will happen for all things. But here's the funny thing about that: a big point of contention that they have is kind of censoring women in media. We've talked about that before. That's what a lot of this video is going to be about as well, and we'll get to it in a minute here. But I want to point this out. The narrative, right, is that it's being done to appease the West. However, we also have how the King of Fighters 15 is censored in China, and we have the character of, I think her name is um, Mai or Mia or something like that. And we have the original Japanese version, and then we have the censored Chinese version. Now, I would agree that this is annoying. I don't like the censorship either. I think people should be able to make what they make, and stuff shouldn't be censored. However, I think it's hilarious that Censored Gaming seems to be one of those people pushing the narrative that this is about appealing to Western sensibilities when they're also showing censored stuff in China. Now, as far as I know, and I shouldn't say that they are necessarily pushing that narrative. I think it's more so that people have taken that and have kind of ran with it. Because as I understand it, and I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure Censored Gaming is just about kind of just showing how things have changed, how because I think they did it with like anime and stuff before too, but I don't think they're trying to really make a point with it. They're just trying to kind of be neutral about it and show like, here's this thing, here's how it changed. And I do want to be clear, I'm not really for censorship in media. I don't really think it's a good thing. I'm not really, I do believe that artists should be able to make what they want and stuff shouldn't be censored. Localization, I understand you're going to localize language, you're going to localize, certain things like that. But, again, like we have the rice ball example, but just in general, like I don't really think that that's necessarily the best way to go about it. Um, and Asmongold has been kind of on this grind of this kind of anti-woke train, if you will, this kind of, oh, woke Western developers are ruining media and all that stuff, or ruining video games and all those different things. However, it's really funny because he also talked about the game Palworld. He got in a lot of shit for this one because for people that don't know, Palworld. Let me go ahead and pull it up real quick here. Palworld is a video game that has been lovingly and somewhat not lovingly by others referred to as Pokemon with guns. Now, I've never cared for Pokemon. It's not my cup of tea. I don't really like RPGs, especially turn-based RPGs. But Palworld looked interesting because it looked like it was a open-world action game, maybe more the likes of, say, I don't know, the Spider-Man games or something like that. Well, you know. However, it's not. It's very much this kind of grindy survival. I mean, you have to like make food for yourself and all these different things. I think it's an incredible concept that it's really distorting that kind of idea of Pokemon, and like you can capture them and you can kill them and you can make them you can like make them your slaves and stuff. Super fucked up, but like it's dark humor. It's fine. And I think this also very much falls under parody. People that were saying, so there were claims as well that, oh, this was made with AI and it was plagiarized and all these different things. A lot of these things do look like Pokemon characters. That is true. However, it's not. I definitely see this as more parody. Although I will not argue that this guy here definitely looks like, I think his name is Electabuzz. Let me see if I got that right. Did I get that right? Yeah, Electabuzz. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I'm thinking like his evolved form. This one. Oh no, not that one. Whatever the big one is. I don't. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. To me, he looked. Yeah. I mean, yeah. But I will say that I think this is definitely parody, and apparently the claims that it was used with AI, made with AI and stuff, were actually false. However, the take that Asmon gave about this was nobody cares what artists think about if AI is used. It matters what people who buy the games think. And if you want to have that take, I disagree. I think everybody's input matters. However, his take for things like this, where was it? About games going woke is basically, my take of let artists make what they want to make. However, when I say that kind of thing, I'm consistent about that. I do want artists to be able to make what they want to make. But if companies want to, do things to kind of, let's be real here, placate, virtue signal, whatever, to an audience, it's not necessarily a thing of them trying to do the right thing or whatever. It's them trying to make more money off of a different market. This is why like Disney famously doesn't put black people on their posters like Star Wars and stuff like that, or at least they have different versions of their posters so that they'll do well in China, because for those that don't know, China is incredibly racist, especially against black people and stuff like that. So it's not great. Um, but I do want to point out some things here. Asmongold seems to be a pretty big, you know, influential figure, I guess, in this scene, if you will. I mean, he does have what, some million subs, 2.38 million subs. So yeah, he's pretty influential. And his original video here, "Why Japanese Games Go Woke," was actually, has more views than the original "How Japanese Games Are Being Made with Global Standards in Mind." um, but I do want to point something out here, right? This is a man who very much fits the stereotype of that kind of slobby gamer who, kind of lives like trash and doesn't take care of himself and all these different things. I mean, if you see you're welcome to check these out like on your own, but there was a video where two of his friends, Emaru, I think her name is, and I don't know that guy's name, but they went to his house, and my god, it was a mess. It was like, this is his room, this is where he actually streams from, this is his room, this is like, apparently he has his bed where he sleeps, he like, his gums bleed because he's so malnourished, and I feel like I'm going to be sick just saying this, he wipes his gum blood on the on the what is that called? On the wall next to his bed, so he doesn't have to like clean it. I'm sorry, I'm getting sick just thinking about it. The man tried fruit for the first time only a couple months ago, and and water, fruit and water, and he didn't like it. In fact, every time he would check out this fruit, he would say it was gross, and he would compare it to the candy. Like, oh, I don't like apple, but it doesn't taste as good as candy apple, like apple flavored, like a Jolly Rancher or something. Holy shit, dude! Like, oh my god, the poor guy has just never had like. He's so it's gross. It's extremely. Oh, real quick, people that think that like diet sugar free or any of that stuff is like worse than the regular stuff or doesn't taste as good. A lot of that is really just placebo. I feel like, because I know I've definitely acquired a taste for diet and zero sugar stuff, because it's better for you. I mean, it's not good, but it's a great diet alternative. And it's so easy to drink calories. It's so easy to drink calories if you're having like sweet, like tea or soda with sugar in it, which is like what a lot of what I had. But anyway, that's a tangent. I'm doing tangents here. But all of this does have a point, and I am leading up to something here. So bear with me if you will. So the point is, yeah, has water for the first time, spits it out. Well, he didn't spit it out. He's like, oh, that's gross, and immediately drank his soda. He like lives off of Taco Bell. And I want to be clear. I don't say this to wait, what is this? Reacts to the most pathetic alpha male. Okay, you know what? Good take. But here's the thing, right? I don't say this to like make fun of Asmon or anything like that. He is somebody who I remember watching the house tour video with my friend, and I was looking at it, I was like, I feel so bad for this guy. I feel so bad, so sad for him, because like he's clearly in a state where he needs help, and he's not well. Like he is unwell. He needs help, and I hope that he can get it, but he is living in this state where he thinks there's nothing wrong. He made this response video to people commenting about his house tour, and he was like, well, you see, I actually don't care about that stuff, and I'm actually like operating on a higher level than you, because you think my place is gross and you need me to clean it and everything, but really you just need it to be clean. But why? Like, why does that actually matter? I'm like, oh my god, dude, like the man frequently deals with rats at his house and like all these bugs and shit. I'm like, I couldn't. I would no. And people have offered to clean for him and stuff. He's like, no, I won't. I'm just like, okay, I can't. But anyway, I bring all this up to bring up that he is very much like the stereotype of the kind of person who does this, and he's very much kind of on that bandwagon now of like, oh, the West is ruining, woke Western whatever is ruining Japanese video games, and he's done it with like anime and stuff like that. And again, look, I'm not really for censorship per se, but I will say there is some pretty sussy stuff in a decent amount of anime that I just can't get past. I remember watching the show Seven Deadly Sins with a buddy of mine. I'll pull it up right here real quick for you. And I liked certain aspects of it, but there was just too much in the show. Like, it was a show, it was like promoted on Netflix, and I think it came up because we were watching the Castlevania show, but whatever the case. Really good show, by the way. I haven't seen the new Castlevania show, though. But anyway, we were watching this, and it was pretty cool. There were definitely some elements that were very sussy, but it got to a point where, like, it was, like, mostly sussy elements that I was like, I can't. I can't deal with this anymore. I can't do this. Part of me does want to, like, give it another shot and see if I can just ignore that stuff, kind of, like, block it out of my mind or something, but I don't know. We'll see how that kind of thing goes. I might give it another chance, but in any case, I bring all this up because, again, I am building to something here. So recently, the PlayStation had done their State of Play, and one of the games they revealed that I'm super hyped for is Sonic and Shadow Generations. As a huge Sonic fan who hasn't liked any game, well, I didn't hate Lost World, but it was meh. Um, but who hasn't really liked any game since Generations? That was back in 2011, by the way. I am very excited for there to be a new take on Generations, and it's not just like a port. It's they're having shadowing and they're having different gameplay and all these different things, and I'm very excited. So I wanted to just talk about that really briefly. Very excited, very much looking forward to it. But there was another game that we got an extended look for, which is what a lot of this is actually going to be about here. There's a game called Stellar Blade. Now, I have been looking forward to this game since it was called Project Eve. I heard about it. I think I saw a thumbnail on it, something like that. This game looks incredible. I'm not going to lie. A big part of the reason that I and many people want to play this game is the fan service. The main character, Eve, is fan servicey as fuck, and I'm not going to deny that. And people who do try to deny that, you're lying. Like you're just here. Let me see if I can. You know what? Let me just do yeah. It's kind of an open world action adventure game. I'm hoping it's not going to be one of those ones where you have to like feed yourself and all that shit. I already talked about how much I don't like that, but it's kind of more like a hack and slash, like Devil May Cry or something like that. So I'm very much looking forward to that because I love those kind of games. But again, I'm not going to lie, the fan service is 100% one of the reasons why I'm very interested in this game. I mean, the outfits and the models and all this stuff that they have for the main character you play as Eve. Yeah, I'd be lying if I told you this wasn't a big draw for myself and for many other people. Is it the only draw? No, but it is a big draw. I've talked about this before. How there are many. Why did it open over here? There are many pieces of media, be it movies, video games, TV shows, anime, whatever it might be, where I will watch or play or read or whatever, if it's a comic, just because I like it's got like a hot girl in it or something that I like. Like I've talked about this before. And I mean, yeah, like 100%. I'm not going to lie. Big draw, big draw for the game. However, do I think that that's a problem or anything? Of course not. Now, I will say, I've talked about this before too, how I talk about sexualization without objectification. Which, first of all, I don't think having a character like this, just because she is sexy and different things, that she is necessarily has to be objectified. I look at this and I say, yeah, she's a badass who's hot, and like I'm gonna like, of course, I'm gonna like staring at her ass and her figure in general, but I'm also gonna like playing the game and seeing what the story goes and all that good stuff. Kind of like Nier Automata. That was an incredible game, by the way, and 100%. Come for the robot booty, stay for the story. It's gonna be apparently this game's gonna be more like Nier Automata, and if people don't remember how that game was, this game had a huge fiasco when it was coming out too, especially because of the main character 2B's her ass, because it was very prominent. Yeah, I mean, you had things like this. This wasn't this is fan art, but but it was an incredibly good game with good gameplay, great story. But yeah, 100% the draw for me and a lot of people originally, the booty. Not gonna lie, the hot chick. That's Now I've talked about this before. You probably know, if you're familiar with my takes on these kind of things, what I think about the male character in Stellar Blade and what my issue, as it were, with the sexualization of these characters. My only issue here is I already had it here, didn't I? Yes, I did. My only issue here is that we're only doing it with Eve. Eve and whoever this character is. What does it say? Lily. We aren't doing it with this guy here named Adam. He just looks like a dude. I've talked about this before. I'll talk about it again. Make cheesecake and beefcake, as it's called, for everybody. Make eye candy for everybody. That's one of my big takeaways with this stuff. Just do it equally. Like, yeah, she's hot. She's going to be fun to play as, etc. I don't know if we play as Lily, but she's not bad either. But come on, like, why can't we have something for the people that like the male form? I don't even want that myself, but like I want that for people that have it. I've talked about this time and time again. You know my take. But came across this video here in which it was by Mugen Lord. I'm imagining it's named after. You guys remember that Flash or that fan game, Mugen? Yeah, Mugen anime fighting game. You guys remember this? It's like oh, I guess it doesn't really have like a like an official. It's like a fan. I think it's like a open source fan made. Everything's made with sprites, and it's kind of a cool concept because you can put like basically any characters from anything in this type of fighting game, and it's it's really cool. I never got into traditional 2D fighters for the longest time, though I am trying to now. So maybe I'll check it out and pick it up someday. But no, I mean I mean, look, you can have like Goku fighting Ronald McDonald, like that's incredible. Or Thor fighting whoever this guy is. By the way, right here, completely unintentional, but good example of potential eye candy for those that enjoy the male form. I think it speaks for itself, but yeah. Anyway, so Mugen, come on. Mugen Lord had made this video. Stellar Blade model actress exposes Western studio depiction of women in games. It's a little thumbnail for you guys. You know, I like to show that and give credit to what I cover and all that good stuff. So, I watched this video, and as with many things that I cover on my channel here, I noticed I kept pausing it and interjecting, so I realized I had to make a video about it, and here we are. So without further ado, let's go.
Asmongold here, and I just want to thank all you guys for being just massive supporters here on this channel. We almost there at 20K. I can just taste it. So we just gotta keep it pushing. I'm gonna just try to keep pushing as hard as I can as far as content. And it appears that a lot of you guys value what I say, love and hear my point and what I think about the things going on in the gaming industry, whether it's just gaming itself or the cultural aspect, the social aspect of what's going on in entertainment and gaming. So I really appreciate it. So let's see if we can get to 20K. So what's going on? 2024. We're only a couple days in this year, and things are just crazy as far as great game announcements, but more importantly, the cultural, social aspect of gaming here in 2024. And we already covered just a couple days ago about the Tekken director being accused of racism. And if you guys haven't checked that video out, I advise you to check this out. But when it comes to today's topic, we want to talk about Stellar Blade, because Stellar Blade is amongst some controversy right now, and everybody's debating over it over the internet, and it's not because of its gameplay or when the game is going to release. Well, it has a lot to do with the game model itself, the female protagonist, because we just got a reveal of what the motion capture model looks like when it comes to doing all the performance and with the character.
By the way, this video itself was actually made before the state of play, the new state of play trailer that I couldn't actually show you, but it came out before that.
Who the character is designed after in this game. And once that happened, the internet blew up and everybody started arguing and debating about it and started questioning Western developers and how they design women and how they depict women in modern gaming today. So before we step into this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, the notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. So we want to dive into this topic because this is very controversial. It shouldn't be controversial. I mean, you can see with your very own eyes. Before we get into the whole Stellar Blade situation and the motion capture model herself, I just want to just talk about the overall aspect of how Western developers depict women and how Asian developers depict women when they pretty much incorporate them in their game, especially when you're pretty much taking their likeness and then you pretty much translating it over into the video game itself. I mean, I already covered it in a couple videos. If you want to go check that out as well, you can check it out.
Okay, the West hates women. So one of the reasons I wanted to go over this is because it's one of those things where it gives the example to go, or where it gives the ability to go over multiple things here. So, okay, all right. So what he's trying to show here with this is basically we have all of these models. You know, we have the real model here, and then we have the person to the left of them, where we're basically showing on the top, this is, you know, Western-made games primarily in America and potentially the UK, I'm not sure. And then we have West here and then East. And the idea is basically to show that, oh, this is what they made these models look like. Now, I've talked about this before in regards to this kind of, and he's actually going to bring up one of the points that I did when I mentioned how, like, technological limitations and reaching the uncanny valley is a lot of the reason for this. Because one of the big things you'll notice is that a lot of Western media, really in general, kind of focuses a lot on realism and tries to get as close to the real thing as possible, which immediately like outdates itself. But the closer you get to realism without actually having that realism is going to make it weird looking. It's where you get the uncanny valley. So that's what we're seeing with a lot of this stuff here. Because one of the big differences that he isn't really going to point out here, but the difference between these characters that have been made from these models are these are all going for a more realistic design. However, I will say, by the way, obviously all of these real women look gorgeous. This model, like the game model here, I don't see anything wrong with this one. Obviously, yeah, this one, or at least this frame, doesn't look nearly as good as the actual model. And look, to me, for me personally, if I was a model for something like this, if my face was used for something like this, and it was, and they made me look worse, I'd be insulted. I'd be like, "That's what you think I look like?" We'll get to it more later here, but I do want to point out that when we look at the Eastern ones here, the models, yes, these models do look like the game models do look better, and they do look closer to the actual model, like the actual women that modeled them. However, if you'll notice, these are all going for a more cartoony, hyper stylized art style, whereas these are going for a more realistic style. And again, that's where we get into the uncanny valley thing. So I do want to just point that out as well. I think we'll get into that a little bit later in this actual video if I remember. But anyway, just continuing.
In the description below, or I'll post it up in the card. But this is a video that pretty much just like set the trend, set it in motion for people to have this discussion, and pretty much brought out into the mainstream. But the thing is, just recently I had made a post. I saw this collage showing how Western developers.
Okay, let's look at this. Oh, this is just yeah. All of these are going for a realistic thing. Yeah, we're in the uncanny valley. I'm sorry, guys. Here's the thing about realistic graphics. Realistic graphics don't age well. Did you know that there was a time where this was considered good graphics? I'm not kidding. There was a time where this was considered mind-blowing, incredible graphics. This. They didn't even have mouths, and yet they must scream. Like, no, but I mean, when they talked, okay, they have like a little indent of a mouth, but literally when they talked, they like bobbed their head up and down because they couldn't move their mouth. So people can say whatever they want about, like, say, let's compare that to, you know what? Actually, here, compare that to Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast, which I think Metal Gear Solid came out the same year, right? Was it 98? No, it was 2000. 2 years at wait, 98 in Japan. Okay, cool. So yeah, the same time, same year as Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast. Now, you can say whatever you want about like the animations and stuff, and yeah, they're kind of goofy, they're kind of cartoony. They don't necessarily look the best, but I'm sorry, this ages better than this because it's cartoony. It's the same reason why with the Legend of Zelda, Toon Link and the Wind Waker, why that ages so well, so much better than anything that's realistic around that time. That's just how it is. Because when you're trying to get graphics to look more realistic, this is what happens. It's just, it's not this like conspiracy thing. It's these are trying to go for more realism, and it doesn't work nearly as well as they'd like it to. We talked about Mary Jane before, and again, really, it's not going to let me zoom in. Okay, there we go. Again, if I was this model, and okay, this actually not the worst, not the worst angle here. A lot of these are also bad angles, and let's be honest, they're bad angles. They're like done to kind of prove a point, right? But at the same time, yeah, if I was the model for this kind of thing, and I was told, oh, this is what you're going to look like, I would, yeah, I'd be offended. But yeah. But again, a lot of it really is just uncanny valley stuff, and we'll get to that later in the video here.
depict women in video games. And I took the collage. I didn't create it myself. I seen it because it was being shared over the internet, and I decided to share it to my audience. And my God, the debates was just going on. And as you can see, the whole collage of Western developers and how they depict women. And also, there's probably, I say, there's one I would probably disagree with. That's only.
I do want to be clear as well, by the way. All of the women who actually are models here, it looks like, are actually, you know, they're very good looking. So again, it's not even like they're choosing like unattractive women or whatever. It's like they are. What I don't understand though is the arrows here, but like some of them don't have arrows. What are we? I guess they didn't have the way to show the difference or whatever. I don't know. Whatever.
On the collage, which is the female protagonist in Grand Theft Auto 6. I don't think she's bad
Wait. Hold up. What are we saying about her?
at all. I think they did a pretty
Also,
good job.
what happened to the subtitles? Are you kidding me? They went away again? I hate this.
Probably I say there's one I would probably disagree with that's on the collage, which is the female protagonist in Grand Theft Auto 6. I don't think she's bad at all. I think they did a pretty good job. Rockstar did a pretty good job with her, and how the women and female models look in the game in
Wait,
general.
let me pause. She's fucking gorgeous. This isn't her, by the way, but let's go back.
At all. I think they did a pretty good job. I say there's one I would probably disagree with that's on the collage, which is the female protagonist in Grand Theft Auto 6. I don't think
she's fucking gorgeous. Like seriously, my God.
At all. I think they did a pretty good job. Rockstar did a pretty good job with her, and how the women and female models look in the game in general. Grand Theft Auto 6 is like crazy.
She's also gorgeous. Yeah, 100%.
So I pretty much disagree with that. And then many people talk about Poison Ivy is just a child, but when it comes to children, it's not talking about the hotness of them. It's just the overall design of how you depict, especially the female children, especially in games. But that Poison Ivy is just fucking hideous, and a lot of people have a lot to say about that. But I digress.
I don't know this for a fact because I don't know much, really anything about the Suicide Squad game. But I think I imagine they did that with Poison Ivy as a kid because she's supposed to be like one of her, like she's supposed to be like a deformed plant creature rather than the Poison Ivy that we're used to. Yeah, I don't know.
So it had brought up this discussion once again. Is this done on purpose from Western developers? Now that we see a lot of perfect example of how Eastern developers depict women when they take them from motion capture and then translate them over into the game. So remember, we talked about it before, how Western developers depict women, especially when you look at the haircuts. The haircuts tell it all and explain it all about what type of game you're going to be getting when you see the female protagonist that looks like this. And then also, we talked about how black women are depicted.
Wait, what's wrong with their hair? Aren't these the same kind of people that complain about men not being manly enough? Do you know what kind of, like, if we do, not even thinking Link. Here. Leon very much has a more feminine haircut. Yet a lot of these guys, I think this guy included, love these kind of guys. What do you mean the haircut says it all? You could say that same thing about the man, like, oh, he's too feminine. Seriously? Like, I don't. What point is he trying to make here? I don't know.
They take the most hideous designs of black women and they just hit them with the ugly stick. And when I give my opinion on it, there's a lot of people that agree, but you get other people who just see nothing completely wrong with it. But that's fine. That's their opinion. But this
hold up.
Female protagonist that looks like this. And then also, we talked about how black women are depicted.
Wait, what's wrong with how any of these people are? They all look fine. Is this like Crackdown or something, or the new Saints Row? They all look fine. What's the issue here? Here, I'll make it so you can see the full image. What's the problem? Also, look at that. Eye candy for people that like the male form too. I like it.
The most hideous designs for black women, and they just hit them with the ugly stick. And when I give my opinion on it, there's a lot of people that agree, but you get other people who just see nothing completely wrong with it. But that's fine. That's their opinion. But despite those examples, many people would say that, hey, no, Eastern developers take the female models and they make them look anime, make them look more cartoony.
No, yeah, they make them more hyper stylized and they don't look as realistic as this. No, I agree. Yeah.
And then Western developers make them look realistic, and it just boggles my mind. How's that being realistic?
No, it's not. It's trying to make it realistic. It's not that they are realistic. It's trying to make them more realistic. But again, we're in the uncanny valley stage. That's just the stage that we're in with technology, with CGI trying to be more realistic. We'll get out of it, but right now, that's just where we are.
Actually see the realistic model from Western developers, and then in stark contrast, looks completely different from the game model. But then when you look at the Eastern developers, all they did was take the exact person, the exact mocaption model, and then put her exactly in the game, and she looks the same. They almost look like identical twins. So which one is more realistic, the Eastern side or is the Western side? Which one is it? Because it just baffles me. So I digress. But the most important thing, after we had this discussion over the internet, and many people had this discussion over the internet, but we never had somebody within the industry themselves weigh in on the discussion, and that's where we fall into Alana Pierce. Alana Pierce, if you don't know who she is, a personality.
Yeah, this is the video I used as an example too.
IGN, where she did a lot of hosting. She's like a female host on the channel. And back then when I used to watch IGN, my favorite was Jessica Chobot, and then of course Naomi Kyle, and then you had Alana Pierce. I think those were the three wonderful ladies that were on IGN. They brought a lot of eyes, brought a lot of viewers to the channel to go watch what's going on in IGN. But she, after all these years, she eventually left IGN and started her own YouTube channel. But she has still been involved in the game industry, and then she was pretty much recruited to Santa Monica Studios, and she became a video game writer, and she done some work.
I never liked IGN. Look, especially as a Sonic fan throughout the late 2000s and early 2010s, we all hated IGN. A big joke that we would always use is you can't spell ignorant without IGN, because especially every new Sonic game that came out, they just hated, basically just because it was a Sonic game, and we took a stand against that. We didn't like IGN. Now, don't get me wrong, people didn't harass them or anything, but like, Game Apologist did a great video on their review of, I think, Sonic Unleashed. Let me see here. Oh, what was the first? Oh no, it was the Sonic is never good one, or Sonic was never good one. Was that it? Yeah, it was. He spent a lot of time in his first review for the Sonic the Hedgehog game, like the first one on the Genesis. A lot of time going over that whole IGN thing. We're like, Sonic was just never good. Look, we got beef, me and IGN. So I never really cared for them or took their opinion seriously, because, quite frankly, they didn't like the games that I liked. They also shat on the Spider-Man games, and that was like all that I played growing up. Sonic and Spider-Man. So yeah. Anyway, point is, I never got into IGN or anything like that. I don't know these people.
Work along on the recent God of War series and many other games as well, and even featured in games as well as that, and you can go check that out as well. But when it comes to
same with G4, I never watched any of those like gaming shows. I watched them for like E3 every now and then, but that was it.
She decided that, hey, I'm going to weigh in on this as well. So she pretty much left a video saying that now women are ugly in video games, and she pretty much gave her reasons why women look the way they look in video games today compared to what it was like a long time ago. And you gotta hear her response. It just blew my mind. It just baffled me.
With like a camera in front of their face, motion capture is when they're moving their bodies. Performance capture is able to pick up more nuances of the human face, and so hand in hand with improved graphical fidelity in video games, you are able to actually capture more like micro movements in the human face. So your face scans need to be more accurate and, in general, a little bit more human. Thus more flawed.
No, so I do disagree with the thus more flawed part, because yeah, the examples he's about to show right here.
That's more flawed.
Yeah, no,
That's more flawed.
I agree. However, again, hyper stylized versus going for hyper realism. Now, an argument could be made, and I would personally make this argument: don't go too realistic, because you are going to run into that uncanny valley. I would agree that, yeah, all of these characters look way better than, well, a lot of the especially the other examples he used. And it's not just women, by the way. Women are the obvious ones that like get thrown in this conversation, but like, I do want to pull this up here. Yeah, you would not believe, if you weren't part of the community, the controversy, the debates that we have been having in the Spider-Man community about the change of what Spider-Man looked like in Spider-Man PS4 and what he looked like from Spider-Man Remastered to Spider-Man PS5 Remastered / eventually on the PC, Spider-Man PS5 Remastered, to the point that one of the biggest mods on the one of the biggest mods on the for the PC Spider-Man is putting his original PS4 face back on over this face. I mean, the amount of people that didn't like that either. So I do want to just clarify, it's not just a woman thing, or like, oh, women always have to be pretty or whatever. But even like with this, I'm sorry, these are two completely different people. You're not going to tell me that this guy, like, if you told me, oh, that was the model for Peter Parker, I wouldn't, I can't see it. I really can't. And John Berniak or something is the guy who did this guy. I mean, he does actually look a little bit more like him. This is a pretty good model thing. So I don't know what's happening like technologically here, but whatever it is, it's not just affecting women, it's just affecting faces in general. I mean, yeah, even look at this. Okay, no, that's not what I want. Yeah, no, but it's not just a like I don't think it's a intentionally getting rid of Pretty Women thing or whatever. But also, I mean, so this was the model for MJ in the PS4 as well. I mean, she definitely looks better than in the PS5 one, but that's not really saying much. But yeah, she definitely looks closer to the model, I would say here. But in any case.
More flawed. Humans have a bunch of flaws on their faces. It's a very common part of being human. Nobody's fully symmetrical, nobody looks cartoonish. So as video games in general are getting less cartoonish, again, this is why I think it's specific to the West. I feel like there are still a lot of Japanese games made with like more anime art styles. It is easier to make somebody look perfect, essentially, and thus less like a real human. But you have to have more accurate face scans that can't just be about symmetry, where like maybe they would have created a face that looks a lot more cartoonish, because then you are picking up the facial expressions, those micro expressions in people's faces, and you're often taking a model and mapping it onto the performance capture and blending those two things, which is an awkward process in general, especially if your models are different to your.
Could you believe that she actually said that? I don't understand. I don't understand. I'm not sure if
I agree. He doesn't understand.
This was a way to protect her colleagues or to somehow shield the industry that's going on in the Western side, of the gaming industry. But that makes no sense. After what I showed, what Capcom was able to do, what Konami was able to do, and many other Eastern.
Yes, but these are the way that Japanese people tend to make it. It's kind of like the difference between like the way anime is made versus the way we make what do you call it? Like traditional cartoons or an animated series like. It's different. It's a different style. And if you're going for that more hyper realistic style, which the U.S. tends to be obsessed with, that's what it's going to be. I mean, okay, let me give you an example, because you can do the whole oh, these characters look ugly thing. I remember back in 2011 when I was playing a demo for this. Playing a demo for this at some shop, and my mom saw me playing this and she said, "Oh wow, they look so realistic." Really? Does that really look realistic to you? Like, people that are, familiar with this stuff and know this stuff and everything, like you would know this doesn't look that realistic. Now, it is trying to be more realistic than, say, something like Street Fighter, say Street Fighter Street Fighter 5. I just want to find like the character. I mean, like, obviously it's more realistic than something like this, but again, that's just the way it is. American studios tend to want more realistic things because it'll also give more credibility to their games and all that shit too. Whereas anime developers tend to not worry about that stuff so much. So it is what it is. But it's not some like conspiracy thing, and we'll continue on here.
Able to pretty much do when taking a real life model and putting them in game compared to Western studios. That baffled my mind that she even came up with an excuse like that. And not only that, Alana was in the Cyberpunk games. And the thing about the Cyberpunk games is another perfect example. We had Keanu Reeves, who also played as a character in the game, and he was pretty much one-to-one what he looks like in real life and what he looks like in the game. They're pretty much like identical twins. And then we can't forget about Idris Elba. He was also in Cyberpunk, and you look at the translation or the transferring from the real life Idris Elba over to the game, and you can pretty much not like say that they like the same individual. You know who they are the moment you play the game. You can recognize them. Now,
I would agree here. Yes, they do look very, very similar. Yes, very much like their actual models.
The thing, when I made the post about the collage itself, somebody had posted, "Yeah, Alana Pierce was in Cyberpunk. I think he did a good job." That's women. Alana Pierce was in Cyberpunk, and now I just started playing Cyberpunk, and I've been playing for quite some time. Just got into the game, really enjoyed it and everything. But the funny part about it is, I encountered Alana Pierce in the game and didn't even know it was her. I had no idea it was her.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think that really looks like her either. I would argue for this one though, because she's an NPC, they probably didn't really care that much. Also, when they were doing Keanu Reeves and they were doing Idris Elba, those are celebrity characters that they want to focus on and specifically, like their face is like one of the selling points essentially. When it comes to here, you know what? Let's do this. Is it 1? I think it's yeah. Megan Fox in Mortal Kombat 1 had a character. Now, say what you will about her voice acting, say what you will about many other things, but I want to get one where her character isn't screaming like this. Can we get like a regular, like a side-by-side of some sort? Come on. I guess this is what we're going to have to go with. It's not perfect, but yeah, this does look a decent amount like Megan Fox. A lot more than, but because she's the celebrity, she's the person where like they have this and they're trying to be like, oh look, Megan Fox is in this game. Like that's the point. Same thing with Idris Elba and with Keanu Reeves. When it came to Alana Pierce or these other models that are used for these things, no one says, hey look, this celebrity is in the game. It's like it's like Terry Crews in the Crackdown games. Of course they're going to make a big deal about him being in the game because he's a celebrity that is one of the selling points for the game. So they're going to make sure he looks good. They're not going to worry so much about an NPC that Alana Pierce plays.
Comes to Keanu Reeves, when it came to Idris Elba, you can recognize them. You can see them from a distance. And you know what else is crazy? Kojima's in Cyberpunk. When I first popped open Cyberpunk for the very first time, I was in one of the missions where we had to enter this building, we had to sneak in. And we're walking around this diner area. And as I'm walking by, I'm looking at all the NPCs talking. I was like, wait a minute, is that Kojima right there? Is that Kojima? Yeah, but
Oh yeah, damn, that does look like Kojima. I would argue that this one is an Easter egg for people that, you know, recognize Kojima like him. They recognize Kojima, and you know they get to see that. But again, someone like Alana Pierce, it's not supposed to be like, hey, you recognize this person? If they want to do that, they could, but apparently that wasn't the route they went, so, you know.
that's Kojima, ain't it? That's Kojima. I know it's not Kojima. I was able to recognize that Kojima was in the game. But when it came to Alana Pierce, I had no idea it was her. She you can see some of the features of Alana, but when you put Alana, real life Alana, right on the side.
Yeah, you can see it a little bit. I think the biggest difference is the jaw, or not the jaw, the chin. Alana definitely has kind of a sharper chin, not a sharper, a point. Her chin comes to more of a point as it kind of comes down, whereas this one's kind of a little bit flatter and a little bit straight across.
Side, and then you put her Cyberpunk NPC. You can see the contrast. You can see that, like, man, like, unless I'm a big Alana fan, maybe I can pick up on
It looks like her eyes are a little smaller and stuff too. I don't know
if that's Alana or not, but I had no idea when I ran across her that it was her. I had no idea. So I don't understand what's going on, how the male characters just have this easy transition from real life to gaming models, and then when it comes to female models, I'm talking when it comes to like these Western.
The men are supposed to be celebrities, or in Kojima's case, an Easter egg. That's why. Or I just use Megan Fox as an example. And NetherRealm Studios is known for, like, unfortunately, as I've talked about this before, desexifying their characters like Jade and Katana, and I will never forgive them for what they did to Sonya Blade. We don't talk about that. Moving on.
Style game, for some reason, like, they have a hard time or something's going on with the female characters. It just baffled me. But Stellar Blade, this is where all of the conversation is headed. This is where everybody's talking about this, because now it's starting to hit I guess you could say, the normies. Because the normies had no idea that this is even a debate, a discussion. So when you're a normie, you don't know anything that's going on in the culture war. You're just trying to play your games, you're just trying to live your daily life and everything like that. But then you start to notice, normies start to notice certain things. That certain things is, like, not adding up here. And that's what started happening when the Korean model herself was revealed to be the motion capture and the face for Stellar Blade. Now, here's the thing that's really, really crazy about this, is because we live in an industry, or in a time right now, where I've been discussing about Stellar Blade for some time when it comes to the game itself and whether or not it's going to be censored. We talked about it and discussed it and everything. But the thing is, we have people, when it comes to...
I will say, by the way, I'm really annoyed with the people who are doing this, like, oh, Stellar Blade is anti-woke, take that, Western developers, and all that shit. It's like, fuck off. Just, like, can't we just enjoy that this is a fun game? And yes, the character is very sexy, and that's a big draw for the game, but can't we just not have to do this fucking victory lap bullshit kind of thing? Can't we just, like, enjoy it? You know what I mean? Same goes for the people that don't like it. Like, you're more than welcome to make fun of it or to do whatever. That's fine. But, you know, as long as you don't try to, like, you know, get it shut down or do this whole, like, oh, you're problematic if you like this game, which we'll get into in a minute here. But it's just, like, be chill. You know what I mean?
Industry where they talk about the depiction of women, of these unrealistic beauty standards, these unrealistic body proportions, and then we have Digital Foundry. You know, Digital Foundry always have...
I will say it was always weird to me when people talk about the unrealistic proportions for women in things like One Piece, when all of them look very strange and not at all what real people would look like. This is a bit of a blurry image, but, like, all of them. I mean, what is this guy? What is this guy? Like, what is you know what I mean? Like, they all look odd. a lot of that stuff too, with the whole like, oh, women breaking their back and stuff like that because they pose a certain way. Like when they're turned, mainly like when they're turned and like the camera catches like their ass and their tits at the same time. There are tons of images of women doing that on Instagram and stuff. Like women absolutely do that in real life. But I mean, yeah. Anyway.
For Digital Foundry when it came to when it comes down to breaking the game down, when it comes to the game's performance, frame rates and everything like that. I always used to go to them for that. And then when they compare the different games on the different consoles and the performance of those, I always have respect for these guys. But it was the first time where I really got turned off by these guys when Stellar Blade was revealed. They gave their opinions on Stellar Blade. Now, I respect their opinions when it comes to when they talk about the games itself, what works behind the games and how these games run. But when it comes to their social political point of view, I don't give a fuck about what they have to say. You gotta hear the response they had to say when they weighed in on Stellar Blade itself and the female protagonist.
I do think the character model was actually like very distracting in not a good way because like the camera angles chosen, it just felt like this game seems like a game that came out in like 2002 in terms of its like character
First of all,
design. It's like a bit old and not flat.
Hold on, let's go back to that. First of all, the camera angles chosen.
To say when they weighed in on Stellar Blade itself and the female protagonist.
I do think the character model was actually like very distracting in not a good way.
Okay, first of all, yeah, the camera
because like the camera angles chosen.
The camera angles chosen
It just felt
here.
like
You're literally like, there's no like weird ass shots and stuff like that. Not that I've seen so far, at least. She's just a sexy character who happens to like a character who's doing shit who happens to be sexy, and like that's a big part of what I've advocated for with these kind of things too. Again, sexualization without objectification or without exploitation, I think would be a better way to phrase it as well, because it's like people should be able to be hot either in real life or in media and flaunt their hotness if they want to. But what I don't like is when you have characters where like they clearly like it's in their character that they don't enjoy what's happening to them, that they're being sexualized. That's what I don't like. But I mean, she could definitely be a badass character who just happens to be sexy. She could be like Bayonetta. We don't know. Everybody loves Bayonetta because she got the confidence and all that shit. Could be like that. But yeah, I don't know. But I will say I really hate that argument too of oh, it's too distracting. When you talk like that about women or just anybody that you find attractive, for one, you're outing yourself as somebody who can't see somebody that is sexually attractive to you without objectifying them or without being distracted by them, and you're unironically reinforcing purity culture. Like that's the narrative that people push onto women, where they're like, "Oh, you can't wear that, you can't do that. That's going to be too distracting for the boys," and all that shit. It's like, what? Like, what are you doing? Like, it's entirely fucked up. And I've talked about this before too, but like, you kind of have to, if you want to maintain healthy, sexual relationships, be able to view anybody that you find attractive. You need to be able to sexualize them without objectifying them, because if people will talk about this weird thing where it's like, oh, I can't look at, like guys will talk about this, for like, oh, I can't look at a girl the same way after I've had sex with her. It's like, okay, if you have this thing where basically you have to like kind of desexualize someone in order to respect them, or you're pushing this idea that you can't respect someone while sexualizing them, or whatever the case, then what you're saying is any, especially long-term partner you have, you either don't respect them enough because you're having sex with them, or you find them sexually attractive, or you don't find them attractive because you're able to respect them as a human. You need to be able to do both. And this narrative of like, oh, it's distracting, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, it has just always been really, really terrible to me.
This game seems like a game that came out in like 2002 in terms of its like character design. It's like a bit old and not flattering, I don't think, for a modern audience. In comparison to something like Forspoken, which has, I mean, yes, it has much more realistic looking character designs. It's not these hyper proportioned.
Yeah. I've never played Forspoken. It's on my list. I know there were a lot of negative reviews it got, but I still want to check it out. Gameplay looks fun, and again, no, she's not nearly as sexualized as this kind of character, but she's to me, attractive enough woman I would enjoy playing as. So I'm interested to check it out.
it's not these hyper proportioned, something or others, but it also seemed, I don't know, a bit more grounded in a way that I found much more appealing than what we saw here.
And this is what I'm talking about. These dudes have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to this. And these are the type of males that people see as the figureheads or the people that people will go to get their information from. These soy drinking beta males and their opinions.
Okay, we don't got to do that whole they're showing their beta. Like, come on, we don't. They just have bad takes. Like, they're just cringe.
Doesn't matter, but this is the current state that we're in. These are the type of males that's running our gaming industry and that's running our entertainment. Which you can check out my video, the collapse of the male image and what's been going on when it comes to males in modern society in general. You can go check that out. But these guys are a perfect example.
Okay, here's something, right? Check this out.
The collapse of
I really hate this stuff because it's really weird to me how these people will do this. They'll talk about like basically wanting and being supportive of or whatever sexy women in like video games and media and all this stuff, which again I'm all for. I've made that very clear. I'm making that very clear in this video as well. But then they will also do the whole hooking up and hookup culture and casual sex and all this stuff. That's terrible, and women are such sluts and whores and all this different stuff. And it's like, dude, you can't have it both ways. Do you like women being sexual or do you not? Do you want to have fulfilling sexual and romantic relationships, or do you want women to feel ashamed for having that desire? Like, you can't have it both ways. I don't understand that like cognitive dissonance that happens with these people. I really don't get it.
Of the male image and what's been going on when it comes to males in modern society in general. You can check that out. But these guys are a perfect example of that. Like, no one cares about your opinion. And I lost a lot of respect for them even saying that. And now that we have the reveal of the actual motion.
And I do want to be clear. I know that
are a perfect example of that. Like, no one cares about your...
I know that this video specifically, or this thing here isn't specifically showing about, isn't about that specifically, but I just wanted to point that out because it reminded me of it.
The male image and what's been going on when it comes to males in modern society in general. You can check that out. But these guys are a perfect example of that. Like, no one cares about your opinion. And I lost a lot of respect for them even saying that. And now that we have the reveal of the actual motion capture model of the main protagonist for Stellar Blade, it debunks everything that people have to say when it comes to unrealistic beauty standards and unrealistic body proportions. Because I discussed before in a video talking about body proportions, which you can also check out as well. Women come in all different shapes and sizes. And a lot of these body proportions that many people would say is unrealistic, you can find a woman that it looks exactly like.
Why, Riley? Why was that the example you chose? Why didn't you use the actual model for that character?
They come in all different shapes and sizes. And a lot of these
okay, here's what I will say about this. It is true that yes, there are women who do look like this. I really don't like that a lot of people will kind of like get on their soapbox and say anybody that they think is child coded is problematic, because there are definitely petite women. And just because a woman is like small and petite doesn't mean that she's, child coded. Nor does it, and same thing goes for a more petite man or whatever the case it might be. Now, don't get me wrong, there are definitely instances where it's not just child coded, but it's like they're basically a child, or I'm sorry, they're actually some 9,000-year-old fairy or some shit like that. But yeah, I mean, like that stuff definitely happens. But at the same time, there are definitely, as this guy's showing here, women that do look like this. I'm guessing these are the models for these characters. But why Riley? Why did we use Riley Reid for this? Well, why?
So what is it? It doesn't make any sense at all. When you look at society, when it comes to this whole body positivity, this is literally body shaming when it comes to this, where you come to censor women's body. And then on top of that, when you look at the models itself, especially when it comes to Stellar Blade, or when it comes
so I do agree with that take to an extent, that yes, kind of having this thing of basically saying like the concept of a woman being physically appealing is problematic can definitely go a long way to hurt women who do have a more naturally appealing figure. Again, a lot of this is in purity culture too, where like they'll tell women, especially who have, or even developing girls who have like, bigger breasts to, cover up and shit like that. And it's like, it's their body. Now, I don't agree either with the whole thing of like women's bodies being inherently sexualized or anything like that. But at the same time, I don't know where I was going with that. Never mind. I'm sorry. If it comes up again, I'll continue the point.
Comes to this whole movement, and which I find like so hypocritical, is because if it's about equality and it's about body positivity, and when it comes to the body proportions and everything like that, it's not spread evenly across the board. There's nothing equal about it because it's only directed towards women. You don't see that happening to men, as I said before.
Well, I will agree that there is an amount of the body positivity movement that is definitely, let's be real, based on insecurity. I was talking about this with a buddy of mine, how like, basically you notice the people that complain about this stuff are the ones that don't fit that mold, which, yeah, that is true. And a lot of people who aren't, in good shape or don't have, like, I don't know, good hair or their makeup down or whatever the case, like, they could fix that stuff. Like, a lot of people who don't look that attractive can fix that stuff. And as somebody who's very, has been very insecure about my own, like, appearance and everything for a long time, I know that that's a struggle. But if you want to look good, you got to put in the work. That's what I'm doing. That's why I work out and try to eat right and all those different things. And you gotta do it. But a lot of people would, rather than put in the work, just be like, oh no, it's problematic that, like, attractive people exist. What? Because let's be real, a lot of people who will do this where they'll be like, that's unrealistic. Really, what they're saying is that doesn't look like me, and it makes me feel insecure about myself, so therefore it's bad. Let's be real. There are definitely people who are like that.
It comes to motion capture the male model, and you bring them over to the game, they're pretty much identical, one-to-one, like twins. But when it comes to Western developers, when they take female models, they look nothing like them. They beat them with an ugly stick. So when it comes to this, it's not evenly done across the board. And another thing I want to point out, which I find funny, my daughter recently, or just a couple months ago, one day she walked in and saw me look at some clips of Resident Evil. So my daughter never really played Resident Evil, and my daughter's 14 years old. So she played games, but Resident Evil was something that she never played before. But she came in and she saw Leon Kennedy, and my daughter saw Leon, the game model itself, and fell in love with Leon. And then I introduced her to Final Fantasy VII, the OG one, and then remake, and she's falling over Cloud, Sephiroth. It is so funny.
I'm really surprised that he's not saying that these guys are, like, too feminine or whatever.
But back to Leon. My daughter just fell in love with Leon, and all she does is watch fans.
Everybody loves these guys. Like, yeah.
With Leon and got fan art of Leon. She just
good examples, by the way, of sexy men for people that enjoy the male form. By the way,
with the character Leon, she just thinks he's handsome and cute and all that other type of stuff. But one day I was in my room, I was working on the video, and my daughter came in, and she was like, "Father, how come you didn't tell me that Leon is based after a real person?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Dad, I didn't know that in Resident Evil that the characters in the game are based after real people." I was like, "Oh yeah, the motion capture." And this what proves my point of what I'm talking about. Is because as you see right here, this is the male model to Leon Kennedy. It's based after him, and you can see the comparison between the two. A perfect translation.
I wouldn't say this is a perfect translation, but it's pretty close. I think they made it. Well, actually, yeah, I mean, it's pretty close. But again, they are going for a different style than a hyper-realized, I'm beating a dead horse.
From real life to the actual game itself. And my daughter only thought that this was just a video game character. But then when she seen the model, my daughter fell in love with the real life model as well, because it's pretty much one-to-one, similar to straight across the board. And as I said before, Capcom, Asian developers done a good job with that. Also, Claire Redfield, the same way. They took her, translated her, Jill Valentine, everything. And this is what we're talking about when it comes to this. So if they can do it, then what's the excuse for Western developers? It just doesn't make sense at all. And then we have Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact is the same way. We have all these different motion captures. The technology is there. It's just why the question is why Western developers is doing what they're doing. If you don't believe that there's an agenda going on, then I can sell you a bridge. Like I can sell you anything at this point. I can sell you sand and you live in a desert.
I guess he thinks he can sell me sand in a desert, because again, I'm going to tell you, like, I get what he's saying, but okay, by the way, Genshin Impact. Hold up. Let's go back to that. Oh yeah, guys. One and the same. Like, are you serious? This is a real person, and this is just motion capture for a hyper-stylized anime-looking character. Are you really going to try and use this to help prove your point? Like, come on, dude.
Different motion captures, the technology, and agenda going on, and you live in Alaska. I can sell you anything at this point if you still don't think that something isn't up or something isn't going on within the industry itself.
Yeah, it's always an agenda. It can't ever just be like, oh, let's look into, like, why this is actually happening and figure out, like, what we can do. It's an agenda. They're out to get you. It's
especially on the Western side of things. And the funny part about it is, after the Stellar Blade model was revealed, then we go into body shaming tactics from these people. Because somebody said that if you like this model, then you're attracted to a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah, that's insane. No, this is very clearly a woman's body. Like, that's absolutely insane. There's no 12-year-old that looks like this. That is absolutely insane. Yeah, no, 100%. There will be the Twitter woke scolds, and there will be the fucking, weird people like that that'll just be like, this is problematic because, like, shut up. But, like, those people are fucking idiots. But yeah, I'm gonna say it. So are people like this guy who are doing the whole, like, oh, it's all an agenda. It's like, no, dude, just chill. Both you guys, chill.
It makes no sense. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Like when it comes to body proportions, which I also did a video on that. Women come in all shapes and sizes. And what also debunks this is also cosplayers. I shouldn't have to repeat myself. Just recently,
I mean, yeah, that's true. There are some very gorgeous cosplayers, yeah.
Cosplayer. I think she goes by the name Crystal. I think she does a beautiful job. This sister does a beautiful job with cosplaying, and she just recently cosplayed Elena. Now, when you look at Elena from Street Fighter 3, you would say that's people would say that's unrealistic. No one can look like Elena. No one can contort their body or have a figure like that in real life. And many people would say that. But then when you see her and she's cosplaying Elena, look at that frame on her.
Again, what people mean when they say it's unrealistic, they really mean it's not the common thing, and it's not what I look like. So yeah.
at her body. Look at the muscle definition that she has. These body proportions are attainable.
But here's what I'll say about that, by the way, too. While there, especially in the early 2000s and like late 90s and stuff, there was definitely an issue with like, extremely unhealthy beauty standards for women to like be rail thin and all this shit. Models are models for a reason. They aren't necessarily what the average person can live up to, but they're the ideal. I might never get to live up to what I would ideally like to be, but I can still work toward it every day. I'll show you an example real quick of actually the type of what keep fucking it up. Okay. What do I want? Oh, that's all. Okay. I'll show you an example. What is it called? Chiseled? Slim. I can't remember. Is it chiseled? Is like. Is it? Am I looking for chiseled? No, not chiseled. Tone. Lean and tone. That's it. Yeah, I mean, I'm going for a body type that's more, I guess, kind of like this. Yeah, and like in all honesty, I might never get there. I hope that I do. I'm gonna work toward it, but I'm not gonna be like, oh, people that look like this in real life or media are problematic because I can't personally look like that. Like I can, I got to put in the work, and I'm trying, but like, it's not gonna happen overnight, and it's not gonna happen just sitting on my ass either. So rather than like complaining and bitching about it, I'm gonna fucking do shit for it. You know what I mean?
These are achievable. So like we need to get out of this head that a lot of things that we see is unrealistic, or this is putting these unrealistic standards on women when there's plenty of women out there that looks like this in real life. Like we need to stop using that as an argument when it's constantly being debunked every time. It's just funny. It just baffles my mind. I just don't understand at all. But that's pretty much it for this video. There's nothing more I can say about this. I think the Stellar Blade situation, the stupidness that Digital Foundry even said when they make that remark, when you look at these people and the things that they say, it just doesn't make sense. Asian developers keep showing out on these developers, especially from the West, when it comes to how they depict women, and not even just women, men as well. Like men makes that transition over perfectly as well. So what is going on here? Like I like to ask that question. I like to ask you that question as well. Is this done on purpose? Is there some type of agenda going on when it comes to the female?
No, it's not an agenda. It's just different sentiments in how these games are made. America is obsessed with making things look more realistic. Japan is cooler with having things more stylized and stuff. By the way, real quick on that, that's also why I never like when people say like, oh, they'll take like look at like a cartoon character or an animated character, and they'll be like, oh, well, their canonical age is whatever, so you're, you know the word, if you like them or whatever. And it's like, look, I've talked about this before, but like if you want to thirst over like anime characters or I don't know, like the like I don't know, like Kim Possible or the characters from Teen Titans or whatever, like have at it. These people don't look like children like those 9,000 anime fairy characters do. So I mean, like, it's cool, it's chill. You know what I mean?
And female beauty when it comes to how they depict women, especially with Western developers, compared to how women are depicted in video games from Eastern developers. So definitely like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. This is Movie Lord.
Yeah, no, this obsession that these kind of things are all conspiracies is just, it's kind of insane. And it's one of those things where like it's, I don't want to say it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it's the whole thing where like when you look for things that confirm your bias, it's called cognitive bias. When you look for things that confirm your bias, and you have this like very specific view of all this is all happening for a reason, it's very easy to find those reasons. Humans are very good at recognizing patterns, so it's very easy to look at this stuff and to come away with those mentalities. But it just isn't true. Yeah, this idea though that everything is a conspiracy and all that is just, it's just not. It's just not. Like, I get it. I understand why you might not like some of these things, but it's not a conspiracy. It really is in regards to the especially in regards to the characters that have been translated and they're trying to make them more and more realistic. that's what it's going to be. They're trying to make it more and more realistic. They're going to put more effort into making sure they really look like the celebrity if they're a celebrity face, if that's the point. And at the same time, they're not going to worry so much if it's like a random RPG or random NPC like what Alana Pierce played. And then in regards to everything else, like, yeah, America tends to be obsessed with realism, whereas Japan is more into hyper stylized stuff. It's why anime is very successful over there, whereas here, I mean, it's becoming more successful, but it's certainly not like there are still many people that think if it's animated, it's for kids, and that just isn't the case. But it's a sentiment that's changing over time. But we'll see where it goes. And it's not like it's not like all women in Western video games or whatever are ugly or anything. There are plenty of them that exist that are not at all. But again, it depends on how these things are made, how they're stylized, all those different things. But in any case, these are just my thoughts. Let me know what yours are in the comments down below. Follow me on social media for more. Subscribe and ring the bell to stay up to date. Leave a like if you like, and if not, I hope you find something to do like. Later, guys. Peace and love.